The Atari Joystick Game Token is back because we have another video game based on a board game, and that game is Monopoly for your Sega Genesis. Real quick, do you know what RUP stands for on Mr. Monopoly's bag? His original name, Rich Uncle Pennybags. Let's go ahead and take Monopoly for the Sega Genesis, pop it in and see how it holds up today. Let's go to the game. Monopoly was published by Parker Brothers, who at the time was a division of Tonka, who themselves handled the Master System when it first came to the States. This version carries a copyright year of 1992. It is based on the board game that debuted in 1935. It was made by Sculptured Software, the same developer who made the great version of Commando for the Atari 7800, which I reviewed in episode 203. For this review, I'm going to assume that my average viewer understands how the board game Monopoly works, although the game rules are included in the manual, and I'm sure can be found on your local interweb. Monopoly is for 1 to 8 players. For multiplayer games, you can either pass one controller or use 2 controllers, but both controllers are recognized as the same controller, so a second player could easily mess with the first during their turn. Monopoly on the Sega Genesis operates by the official rules of Monopoly and does not allow for any customization. So this means that fines are paid directly to the bank, you get nothing for landing on free parking, and properties that aren't sold when landed on go up for auction, which I'm imagining could be crazy during a multiplayer game where everyone wants to make the single cursor point to their name and press the A button to bid. It's also weird during the single player games where you are fighting the computer controlled opponents to control the single cursor to bid. The board is also based on the official board and tokens of the time, so Baltic Avenue is purple, and when you land on income tax, you can choose to pay either $200 or 10% of your total net worth, which the game won't let you check when you land on it. When you start the game, you can select the number of players from 2 to 8, and let the game know if the players are human or computer. For computer players, you can select from 8 possible computer-controlled characters. The manual gives each one a personality, although I was unable to tell if they play that much different from each other. Once the players have been selected, you can press the A button to start the game or C to bring up the options screen. From the options screen, you can select how much money each player starts with, what properties they start with, if they have houses or hotels, and where on the board each player starts. So basically you could set up the board how a previous game ended. The game also has 12 preset game scenarios, which are described in detail in the manual and can be played with 2 to 4 players. You can also select a short game that ends after the amount of time you selected, and can even divvy up properties before the game starts if you choose. The game begins with a randomly assigned player going first. To roll the dice, you simply press the A button. Pressing the B button brings up a status screen that shows who owns what properties, cash levels, and if anyone has a get out of jail free card. Hitting C brings up a menu screen where you can buy and sell properties, mortgage properties, propose trades, look at deeds in detail, and adjust the general settings where you can change the pace of the computer-controlled opponents, change human players to computerized, which can't be undone, or end the game early with the computer determining the winner. When trading, you can mix properties and cash, and you could even tell your opponent what you want and see what they want for it. Games need to be finished in a single sitting, and there is no save feature. And that pretty much is Monopoly on the Sega Genesis. Graphically speaking, the game is surprisingly pretty good, as I was really impressed with the animations of the chance and community chess cards. The sounds and music were decent as well, although not as good as the graphics. And naturally, this is a family-friendly game, although younger players may be turned off by the slightly complicated rule set. At the time of my research on eBay, loose copies were going for $4 to $7, complete copies were going for $6 to $13, and new copies were going for $7 to $19, including shipping. So what do I think of Monopoly on the Genesis? I was pleasantly surprised. Now, I am a Monopoly fan, so that definitely helps. And it would have been nice if you could save games and adjust the basic rules. And sometimes it can be hard to get the computer to trade. But the game moves at a good clip, has a nice level of challenge, and even has a certain charm to it. It's not the best version out there, but if you're a fan of Monopoly, you might want to try this version if you happen to come across a copy. So where am I going to rank Monopoly on the Genesis? Well, I like F-22 Interceptor more at 11, but I would rather play Monopoly than Super High Impact at 12. So out of the 20 games I've now ranked on the Sega Genesis, Monopoly is rolling into the 12th position. Monopoly is a solid version on the Sega Genesis. So what do you think of the game? Whether you agree or disagree with me, feel free to let me know in the comments below. Also, feel free to click the like and subscribe buttons and follow me both on the Facebook or the Twitter. And I'm a member of the Retro Junkies Network. At this time, I'd like to thank everyone who supports this show on Patreon, including Joe, Rob, and Isaac, among many others. Thank you, everyone. If you'd like to become a Patreon supporter, please go to patreon.com/NoSwearGamer. Thank you for giving me a little part of your day, and I look forward to seeing you next time on the next episode of the No Swear Gamer. Take care and go to jail. Directly to jail. Do not pass go, and do not collect $200.